All right, welcome everybody to Humpday Hangouts. This is episode 375. Today's the 19th of January, 2022. And we have got some good stuff for you today. We got a bunch of questions already on the page. So we'll try to keep the introduction relatively short, but we want to say hi to everybody. And we also have a guest with us today. So first of all, I wanted to check in with Chris. How you doing today, man?
Doing good. Super happy to be here today. Had a pretty long hike this morning.
Nice.
About 2 hours. So quite happy. Weather is pretty good, sunny. So can't complain.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, I don't know. I always go out after this. I realize for you, you're like 9 hours or 8 hours ahead of me. But yeah, after Hump Day Hangouts, I get out and go for a run. But Bradley, how about you? How you doing today?
Peachy, man, having a good time. Just things are great right now with with our growth, and we got some really good news about our Content Kings business that we're hopefully launching here in the next couple of weeks. Got some really good news about that yesterday. We're moving forward, like kind of full speed ahead with that. So really excited about getting our SEO tuned content business off the ground. The link building business is growing for me for mastermind members. Damn near 20 locations right now. I got a meeting with another person tomorrow. So it's been crazy. 3 months ago, things were not so good. And right now, all of a sudden, like it's just flourishing. So I'm just really excited. I think it's going to be a really good year. Happy to be here. So
sounds good. Well, I'll let you do the honors. You want to introduce our special guest we got here today?
yeah, everybody, we talked about this last week. Jesper Nissen, we invited him on. He's got some really good stuff he's doing. He came out of nowhere, like just all of a sudden he popped up on my radar, and I went ahead and bought his courses, and he's got the Twitter Moments course and the Cloud Stacking course and the Tumblr SEO course, which I haven't even gone into that yet. But I'm just really fascinated with what he's doing. I love what he's doing. It's kind of out of the box. It's effective as hell. I'm integrating what he teaches into my link building services as tier one links. Incredibly powerful. Works really, really well. I think he's a nice guy. We had a great talk last week. We got to talk. So without further ado, Jesper, say hi.
Well, hello guys. I'm very happy to be here. So this is my first time on your show. So it's a great pleasure to be here with you guys that I have personally been following for a couple of years. So
it's great.
Yeah, just good to be here.
That's great. And like I said, guys, I love finding new people that are doing kind of innovative things. And like I said, he came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, he was on my radar, and I thought his training products were good. I've mentioned them the last couple of weeks. So we brought him on just kind of guest host and answer questions and stuff like that. He's a good dude. His courses are great. We're going to drop the link to those.
Let me
encourage you to go pick them up. So with that said, what other announcements do we have, Adam?
Let me grab that. I was just grabbing the link. I want to make sure we get that on the page and I spell your name correctly. So there we go. Got that on there. Just wanted to remind people there's a link above. There's probably links below, links to the side. But if you haven't gotten your GMB or GBP process checklist, grab that. That's Bradley's free checklist he put together on how to do all of that. So make sure you pick that up. And if you're ready to take things up a notch, if you're doing digital marketing, if you're a consultant, you're local SEO, if you're a brick and mortar business owner, you're doing lead gen, whatever it might be, then we're interested in having you in our mastermind. All right. You not only get access to us, but all of the other people who are doing this as well and really want to see real growth. It's a community. We always tell people, be ready to share. The more you share, the more you can get feedback, the more help you can get. And we're really growing that community of, like I said, local SEOs, agency owners, consultants, some brick and mortar people who want to do that. So if that's for you, check it out at mastermind.semanticmastery.com. You can find out all the details there. If you have any questions, shoot us an email at support@semanticmastery.com. And last but not least, want to remind people, we appreciate the questions. If you can, try to keep it to one or maybe two questions. But you can always ask them ahead of time too. So if you're checking out the replay, we love the questions. We just ask if you can make it live, because if we maybe need some nuance or we need some more information from you, if you're here live, we can get that from you. And get you sorted. If you're not here live, we'll do the best we can to answer your question. And you can always subscribe on YouTube and check the replay out, which, we get it. You got things come up, you got client calls, things to do, fires to put out from time to time. Either way is fine with us. Subscribe to YouTube channel, come join us live. All right, with that said, that's it on my end. Anything else, guys, before we jump into it?
No, I'm just preparing a couple things for later. So give me 1 second. Fill in for a minute.
What I
Secret?
also wanted to talk about was the weather outside and how, just kidding.
What are you going to say, Chris?
You're preparing secrets for everyone who stays on for the whole show.
Yeah, maybe that's a good idea. I'll save it for the end. No, that's cool. We just got a lot of stuff going on in the mastermind. I'm been talking about link building a lot lately, which is part of the reason we brought Jesper on, because his methods are so great. They're working really well. I trained a VA to do the Twitter moment stuff, and I'm working on some cloud stacking stuff right now. But those are right now, those are my favorite tier 1 links, or cloud hosted pages. Hands down, they're so powerful. You can do so much with them. It's just crazy. And so, in the mastermind, I've been talking a lot about link building. I'm doing link building for, like I said, almost 20 locations for mastermind members, not 20 people, but some people, multiple locations. But it's been a lot of fun. It's been giving me a lot of access to a lot of additional data in different industries. And so I'm starting to see patterns emerge. And, like I said, it's just, I've developed some processes that work really, really well, integrating what Jesper's teaching, plus some other kind of traditional link stuff. I've stopped using spam links, like bulk spam links entirely. I've talked about that last several weeks. And what I'm doing is, it's crazy. We're just starting to do some of the, updated, like the month 2, at the beginning of month 2, reanalyze all the data from the link building projects that I'm working on. We go through and refresh all the data. We, check the serps again, and we look at the rank results, both in maps as well as keyword rank reports, organic ranks, ranking. And I'm just seeing across the board, everything's just moving. It's moving consistently. And it's really cool to see that kind of stuff and be able to repeat that across different industries, instead of always just in the one, the main industry I work in is tree service contractors. So I know what works there, but it's good to see that it's working across other industries as well. So I would encourage anybody to come check out the mastermind, come join us. If any of that sounds like interesting. I'm going into some more deep dive on link building tomorrow on how I actually analyze backlinks. It's a pretty thorough process, but it's very valuable. You get down to just those links that matter the most. And that's both for your own assets as well as your competitors. And then you know what you're truly competing with. You know what I mean? Somebody could have hundreds or thousands of links, but in most of the local projects, it's not that many. But most of those links are worthless. They provide such little value. You're not really competing with that. You're competing only with a very select few links. And it's good to be able to identify that, because then you know exactly what you need to do to be able to meet and or exceed, right? Meet and exceed that. And it's really not that difficult to do when you have the data, right? And so that's kind of what we're going to be covering again tomorrow. So looking forward to it. I'll give you guys a little bit of a tease on that later on. Chris, that was a good idea. So let's get into it, guys. I'm going to grab the screen.
One more thing, man. You forgot
Yes, sir.
one thing. For everyone who is doing local SEO or helping your local businesses, don't forget to check out our GMB process checklist. Maybe Adam can post a link. So that's really important. Don't forget that.
All right. Good point. All right, let's get into questions. I'm already recording. Sorry. If I can find the right button.
It's all right. I'm looking here too. Looks like Wayne had the last question. So it looks like BB has got the first question today.
Am I going too far?
Nope. There you go. Right there. BB.
Okay.
And there's Wayne right there. Yep.
Okay. Let's move this around a little bit. And so, Jesper, what I'll do is I'll kind of read out the question, give my answer, and then I'm going to ask for your opinion. If that works for you. Good format?
Good format, yes.
Okay. So BB, he's been following us for quite some time, disappeared for a minute, but he's come back, and he tends to ask a lot of questions. And BB, I'm a bit disappointed this time because that's a lot less than we're used to.
Don't encourage him.
Yeah, right. Anyway, I'm just kidding, man. He says, hey guys, let's say you buy a domain that was expired, but had backlinks from good sites. First, with a new site, get the juice. Second, if it will not get the juice, then what if backlinks to the backlinks? Will it then consider the juice flowing? Yeah, I mean, yes, expired domains with clean link profiles or relevant link profiles is kind of a better term. Really, the best is to have both clean and relevant links, right? But yeah, that's absolutely still a working strategy. There's no question. But here's what's important about that. And I'm doing a lot of domain rebuilding now, not for PBNs. I am using PBNs, but not for tier 1 links. And I'm not building PBNs. What I'm doing is I'm using a few different tools Spamzilla.io is a great expired domain marketplace. It's got a whole bunch of filters and stuff built into it. It's only $37 a month. That's a great marketplace if you don't want to do a bunch of your own crawling of other sites to find expired domains. I'm also using a domain crawler called pbnlab.com. You need to have the Terra level subscription, which is like $157 a month in order for it to be, really useful. And then you have to know how to scrape and what to scrape and that kind of stuff. It takes a little bit of a learning curve, but I'm doing a lot of that right now. And then hosting HTML rebuilds from archive.org records that we download from in one of the hosting platforms that I'm using. It's a cloud hosting platform. I just talked about how cloud hosting is like cloud hosted pages are one of my favorite things in the world right now. So we're rebuilding a lot of expired domains with archive.org records on cloud hosting. They're HTML rebuilds. So they're not WordPress, they're not CMSs, they're static HTML sites. But what I'm doing, because I don't know if anybody's ever done this before, and I'll get back to your question in a minute, BB, is if you've ever done a rebuild from an archive.org record, they're usually shitty, right? They look like crap. It's full of junk code. They look like they were made in 1995, so they're awful. So what I did was I hired a HTML developer off Upwork. He's in India. His name is Neeraj. He's great. And he completely updates. So we still download the archive.org records, but then he updates them to like HTML5 standards, puts animations in and all, still HTML, static sites, but he's got CSS, and all that other stuff in them, makes them beautiful. So they'll pass manual review. And so what I'm doing is I'm analyzing the backlink profiles of these expired domains, making sure they're relevant in the proper topical trust flow category, have a clean link profile and a clean history. One of the most important things about looking at of an expired domain is not to just look at the backlink profile, but also look at the archive.org records specifically, because a lot of expired domains might even still have a clean link profile. But if you look at the history, you'll see that they had been purchased by China. I don't know why this happens so much, but by Chinese or Japanese people that like spam them with like stuff that's completely irrelevant. And then, a year later, they let them expire again. And I don't really know what the purpose of that is, but those types of domains I completely avoid. I only look at clean domains, meaning the inbound link profile is clean. They have the primary topical trust flow category that's relevant to what I intend to link out to, right? And then I rebuild those. And again, we bring them up to current standards so that they'll pass manual review. Now, like I said, it's not a PBN. They are being built for link building purposes. We're being rebuilt for link building purposes, but it's, one domain, I might put out max 3 outbound links on it. And that's it. So my total cost for that, an expired domain, I paid $10 to $15 to re-register the domain. And then I paid Neeraj and Upwork $16 an hour. So it takes about 90 minutes per site. And then I've got a little bit of overhead between the tools and the cloud hosting and such like that. So my average cost is roughly $45 to $50 per rebuild. But, we're building anywhere between 5 to 10 domains per week is my target right now. And so I'm building this nice portfolio of sites in various topical trust flow categories that I can use to build links for my link building clients, my own projects, whatever. And so, yes, they're absolutely valuable. And here's the cool thing about it. A lot of those, back to your question, BB, if you find a clean link profile and you're going to build on that domain in the same kind of topical category, then it will rank a lot better because a lot of your work is already done, right? Like you've got inbound relevant links to it. Or you could use that to you could put new content on it. The only reason I worry about doing that sometimes, and I like to rebuild the old sites, is because any of the links that are pointing to it, if the webmasters were to, go back and, manually review those links and find out that they're linking to something that is, no longer what they intended to link to, they could remove those links. A lot of the times it's not going to happen anyways. Some of these domains I'm rebuilding have records that go all the way back to 2001. So 20 years, and the link's been present for that long, if that makes sense. So my opinion is, yes, if you definitely get the juice from them, but it's really important to make sure that the link history and not just the link profile, but also the domain history is clean. I'm gonna turn it over to you, Jesper. What do you think?
I'll just unmute myself. Well, I'm not really into expired domains as such, but I'm instead into expired Tumblr domains. So it's kind of like the same thing, except it's not, because You don't have to rebuild anything when you register expired Tumblr domains. But with regards to expired domains, I don't do that, so I don't have any opinion on that. But
Expired tumblers are powerful.
Expired tumblers are extremely powerful, and I'm doing that for my clients, both local and that I'm doing local and national SEO for. And it's extremely powerful. You can find, DA 6080 and PA 6080 Tumblr domains and trust flow and citation load 2030, something like that. And they can really, really be powerful. And you can, there are tools, and I show that in my course, the domain hunter gatherer tool, that's what I use.
Okay.
And you can scrape, for a bunch of keywords at the same time, and you just register 5, 10, 20, 30 Tumblr domains and create your own Tumblr PBN. I know that some of the people that have taken my course, they're actually doing that. They're building their own PBNs of Tumblr domains. Super
that's
powerful.
a good point. That's a good point. I've bought some expired tumblers that had PA and DA, but they're not fully relevant. So I use those at like tier 2. But I could see scraping your own, you could get more relevance, which is, from all my testing, you can still brute force stuff, but what I'm finding right now that is working the best for link building is just if you can get links that are topically relevant, that really works. It really works.
Yeah, but what I like about Domain Hunter Gatherer is that it actually shows you the niche of the Tumblr domain. So it actually goes in and investigates what genre, what niche is it in. So you can actually just select the topical relevant Tumblr domains for your project, for your website. So that's cool. Really cool. Yeah,
it's really cool. So BB, it's a good strategy. Like I said, you gotta do your due diligence. When I first started doing this 3-4 weeks ago, I bought a couple domains that I didn't fully research like I should have, and I found after the fact that they had been spammed by Chinese or whatever, and so I it was just kind of a waste of money and time. But I'm much more diligent about researching them now. But it's great. They work really, really well. So Nicholas says, hey guys, looking to train up a VA to help a client link building, specifically outreach. I'm looking into some different tools to connect into a Google Workspace email. And after some advice, would you go down the route of using various Gmails or use a branded domain extension for the emails? For example, agencyname.io, while the main agency is on a .com. Do you think people will think it looks spammy if the outreach comes from an SEO agency? Would love your feedback on this. Love the angry image of Bradley on the sidebar. Yeah, I know. That's funny. The sun was in my eyes when I was getting my photo taken and I couldn't see, and I look like I'm angry, but that's funny. So no, I would not. I do recommend using a domain email as opposed to free Gmail, because once you properly warm up the email, the domain, you build up the domain reputation, and there's tools out there that do that. gmass.co has a warming feature that's free that you can connect directly to Workspace. So domain emails that you set up in Google Workspace, that's what I recommend you do. By the way, if you're going to be buying emails to set up in Workspace, so domains to set up emails in Workspace, do it through Google Domains. Go to google.domains or domains.google, one or the other. I think it's domains.google. And register the domain there. It costs $15 as opposed to like $12 at Namecheap. So you pay $3 more, but throughout the checkout process, you just check a box and it will automatically add Workspace and all the MX records, the SPF, DMARC, DKIM, all the stuff that you need to all the security records and verification records and everything else that you're going to need. And it's just a hell of a lot easier. And all you need is a Workspace starter account, basic account, which is $6 per month per user. That's all you need. And so what I recommend is doing that, number one, using a warming service to warm up the domain for at least 3 weeks. Better for 30 days if you can do it for 30 days. So, but at least 3 weeks before you start cold emailing. And then when you start cold emailing, do it very slowly and ramp up. And that's part of what the warming feature does. But I still, I'm doing a lot of cold email stuff too. I do it, kind of ramp it up slowly. I might do 5 emails a day for the first week, and then maybe 10 the next week and 15 the next week and that kind of stuff. And that's per day. But gmass.co has a warming feature that integrates with Workspace. It's free. It's great. If you're going to be doing a lot of outbound stuff, sometimes it makes sense to use like Mailgun or something like that. And then there's some other services that will integrate that are paid services for warming those. Lemlist is a good one. There's other ones out there too. When I say Lemlist, it's lemlist.com. I think it's a French company, but they've got a really good what they call Lemwarm feature, which does really good warming as well, email warming. But the last part of that question was, should you use like agency in the name? No. I recommend a domain, but I recommend not something that says marketing or SEO or agency in the domain itself. And the reason why is because a lot of email spam filters are really sensitive to those kind of words. And so you can actually, it makes deliverability harder, or even if they deliver, they'll go to the promotions tab in Gmail a lot of the times if they have like trigger words in the domain, such as SEO or marketing, agency, those kind of words. So I recommend using, personally, what I like to do is my name, or, like for, I run an agency for tree service contractors. So I have treecarehq.com is the main site. So I've got treecarehq.net and treecarehq.org and a few of the other ones that I use kind of for mass emailing. But you could also use a name like, bradleybenner.com, right? I'd buy bradleybenner.net or bradbenner.net or something like that and use those. Those tend to, they don't look spammy. And so people tend to open those up more. So, you could just use a John Smith, Jane Doe, or whatever, you know what I mean? Something like just some kind of made up name domain that you buy, and use that as kind of your cold emailing strategy. That's kind of what I recommend. So, anybody have any comments on that? Chris, you do a lot of emailing, and Adam.
I do, but not this kind of emailing.
You do straight up spam, I know.
Yeah, that's not true.
Well, you used to anyway. All right, that was a good question, Nicholas. Appreciate that. Next is Gordon. What's up, Gordon? He says, hey, happy hump days. Hi, guys. Happy hump day wishes. I just need your helpful feedback for a few things regarding the NAP for a multi-city local lead gen site. I believe that the name must be in the same of, I believe the name must be in the same, must be the same. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. I believe the name must be the same on each city page. Otherwise, Google will think you are a directory site and not a business with different locations, making it harder to rank. Is that correct? I don't know. I've not tested that, but I would think that would cause some ambiguation issues. I'm not sure why you would do that unless you were running a directory site, which is a great strategy. I'm going to be doing some more teaching on that here shortly. We'll probably talk about that next week. But directory sites are really great for prospecting, going back to what Nicholas was saying. Anyway, yeah, I don't know why you'd want to do that, Gordon. So can you use the physical address for a centrally located post office in each city? Yeah, I mean, I guess you can, but here's the problem, Gordon. I don't know how long it's been since you tried to register a Google business profile, but in the United States, they're almost all going to video verification now. Almost every industry that I know of has gone to video verification. So the days of us being able to register GMBs to PO boxes I think are gone. If you have a real business that you're going to do work for, like as a, agency client relationship, and you're going to verify a Google business profile for them, then go for it, because they have a real business. They can verify their business information even through video if necessary, which is likely necessary. But trying to create, spammed listings or lead gen listings now, I haven't figured out a way to do it. Not that I spent a lot of time on it, but I'm waiting for others too. And I haven't really heard of anybody that's gotten a repeatable process that works all the time. So I'm sure there might be some, but I don't know what. So I'm just giving you kind of a heads up. I don't know that the post office method is going to work anymore at all, because they're going to force video verification. And then how do you verify that? Before this, yeah, it worked. So anyways, back to your question. Can you initially use the actual phone number from a real niche business in each city, or will Google be able to determine who really owns the number? Well, I mean, that's pretty, if that number has been published anywhere online, it can be very easily determined by Google. So yeah, I wouldn't do that. I've never tried to spam phone numbers into a listing. I always use forwarding phone numbers. The Affordable Plumbing Company, can you use a partial full keyword match for the biz name, for example? Yeah, that's what I always do for tree service contractors, right? We try to create branded names, but it usually has tree service or tree removal or tree care in the name. So it's a partial match keyword brand name. That's how we typically do it. And that makes sense. It's logical. That's where most companies do it, right? If there are no NAP citations anywhere else than the one on the website, as well as no GMB listing, will either of those create a ranking problem? No, but it helps to verify. I mean, you can rank without citations, there's no question, but it does help. It's kind of a validator. It certainly helps, especially with maps rankings. If you're just going for organic rankings, then no, I mean, it's unnecessary, but again, it still helps. A citation helps even non-maps listings, right? Even organic listings, a citation helps, right? And when I say citation, it means a mention of the brand, a mention of the URL. It doesn't even have to be a hyperlink, just a mention. Those kind of things do help. What do you think, Jesper?
I think that I know that citations help a lot, and I use it for all my clients, both local and national. And when it comes to no GMB listing, the way I get around this with the Google My Business profiles is that I ask the client for an address that I can send a postcard to, because then you can actually get the verified Google My Business profile. So that's probably the only workaround that you can actually get now. And yeah, so, and when it comes to rank and rent websites, I don't know if the algorithm is different in Denmark than it is in the United States, but I just created a rank and rent website here in Denmark with the service name and then the city names, all the city names. I think it was 20 city names. And what I did was I kind of like spun the content across the 20 pages, so it was almost identical. But then at the bottom of the city pages, I inserted a small Wikipedia article about that city. Mm-hmm. And after I published it, it took 7 days, and all the city pages went directly to number one. No, nice. Service city name. That's completely great. I was just blown away how effective that was. So yeah,
that's not really likely here, because that's what I'm saying. I mean, what you mentioned about if you have an actual client and you're trying to register a GMB or Google Business Profile to their address, that's fine. We can still do that all day long. Yeah. But trying to do the kind of the spam listings, I think those days are gone here in the US, at least for now. So yeah, very cool. So anyway, that was good. Next one is Wesley. He says, howdy, gents. In a previous episode, someone asked about sending PBNs behind a 301 domain into a money site. And Bradley instead advised using cloud links for this purpose. If you're sending cloud links like S3 to a redirected domain to the money site, what anchor text would you use? No, I think you misunderstood what I was saying. What I was saying was if you put the cloud page in between the redirect and your money site, right? So that you're pointing the redirects to the cloud page. And the reason I like to do that is because on the cloud, and this is a perfect opportunity. I'm going to go show Jesper's courses here in a minute. But that's a perfect opportunity, because why I love the cloud pages, guys, is they're instant high domain authority and high page authority the moment you publish them. Boom, right? So that's number one. Number two, you have control over the content of those pages. So you can make it fully relevant, right? With a well-tuned article, so well-optimized article. You can not only link out to your money site asset, you can do embeds. So if you're doing Google Business stuff, you can do a link to your Google Business website. You can do an embed of that. The same goes for your map. You can embed the map. You can do a link to the CID URL. You can link to all three, which is what I like to do. I like to use the cloud hosted pages to link to all three tier 0 assets. The way that I look at it, those are all three tier 0 assets, right? The money site, the Google Business website, and the Google map. And so I like the cloud pages because I can put fully relevant, well-tuned content on an instant high domain and page authority site the moment that I publish it. And now I've got a target that I can build links to. I still like to use niche relevant links, but if you've got expired domains, like we talked about earlier, that you want to redirect to that page, that's a perfect target for that. You can use PBN links. Like I said, I still like to use kind of more niche relevant stuff at tier 2, and then I'll use PBN links at tier 3 all day long. And that's just kind of the methods that I like to use. I'm gonna get into my diagram, my local link building diagram here at the end of the webinar today. But that's kind of what I was talking about. Jesper, while you what do you think about that?
I think that you're correct. I can only repeat what you're saying, that when you're creating let's say that you're creating a cloud page, an HTML page, and uploading it to Amazon S3, then if you select the strongest bucket, the strongest region to create your buckets in, you have a page authority of 48 right out of the box, something like that. It's completely crazy. Instead of, let's say that if you're creating a Web 2 website like WordPress.com, it has page authority of 0 or 1. So these numbers, the page authority, that's not, a number from Google, but it does say something about how strong this page is. And
Yeah.
it is, they are extremely powerful. I made some tests when I was shooting my videos for my course, and I could move rankings with just one cloud page. Well-tuned, as you're saying, well-tuned content, one cloud page, one outgoing link, and it's a default backlink from PA 48 or whatever it is, and it moves the rankings every time. Yeah.
And then when you get into what Jesper teaches here with cloud stacking, and then the Twitter moments to kind of power up the cloud stacks, and he creates these essentially link wheels. It's freaking amazing. It's badass.
I've been going completely crazy the last month with both my cloud pages and especially my Twitter moments. I think I've made some tests where I created, I don't know, 100, 200 Twitter moments just to try to boost, national SEO terms in the United States. And I have actually some pages where I've boosted them up to position 1.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's it's the combination of cloud pages and Twitter moments. It's extremely powerful.
Yeah.
And
and that's what I'm trying to develop some processes for my team in house to do some of this. I've just started testing with some other tools too, and I know Jesper's working on creating kind of his own tool too. I'm anxiously waiting for that. But I know these methods absolutely work. So we're kind of trying to build some of these into my in-house with my own team that we can, provide to my link building clients now, and my local clients too. But we've got a lot of, mastermind members that are having me manage and consult with them on link building now. And so it's something I want to provide. And I'm using Jesper's training here. So we dropped the link earlier. If it needs to be dropped again, guys, this is not an affiliate link. I just want to promote it because it's damn good. So there you go. But yeah, I mean, that's what I was showing here. This was a HTML page hosted on the Google storage, Google Cloud hosting. And this is I built this site using a HTML site builder called MobiRise. It was $99, but they raised it to, I think, 129 now or 169 or whatever. But it's a really, really nice looking HTML site. And I published it, and you can see it's still showing 0 links. I have built a few links to it now, but it's still showing 0 links. But look at that, page authority of 43, domain authority of 93, and it's just an HTML page. So, and I wasn't doing this for link building purposes. The only follow link I have on here is a footer link to the money site. This was so I could start testing some methods to just try to rank cloud pages. So, but yeah, I mean, like I said, it's one of my favorite strategies right now.
Yeah, it's extremely powerful. And if you create multiple pages and you interlink them, even more powerful. Also helps with indexing.
That's the stacking part of it too.
Yeah.
By the way, speaking of indexing, we've had this question come up so many times, guys. This is one of the most powerful indexing tools right now that I have found. It's expensive, but I haven't found really a URL that hasn't indexed yet. It's called Index Me Now. It's a French site, and it's expensive. I just loaded up. I don't know. I bought like $600 worth of credits the other day, or right here. I bought that, and I had already bought that before, so I guess $450 in credits. But it's rather expensive. But they do a refund in 10 days if it's not. You're recredited in 10 days if it's not indexed. And I haven't really found anything that it hasn't been able to index yet. So, I mean, I'm not doing bulk spam. This is only for things like cloud pages and, high quality PBN links and stuff like that, which most of the time don't really need a lot of help, but I still like to get them. I don't what SEO out here likes to be patient. I like to, when I get my link reports back, I like to submit them. the indexers. And this is very expensive for indexing, but it works really, really well. So it's called indexmenow.com. I encourage you guys to check it out. It's working well. Okay, moving on. Oops, we'll get to that one later. All right. So back to this Wesley question from Wesley. So by the way, hopefully that answers your question, Wesley. No, I don't like to, I'd like to use the cloud pages like a buffer between a redirect and the money site, if that, or PBNs or whatever. I like to use cloud pages as tier 1 links, period. They're just really, really powerful. You get to have complete control over them. It's just a great strategy. So he says, I'm thinking market level mix with branded and exact anchor PBNs behind it, but I'm not sure if it's bad for anchor text. Well, we'll get to that here in about 10 minutes or so, maybe. Well, I'm sorry. The last 5 or 10 minutes of the webinar today, I'm going to just kind of do a brief overview of, kind of my methods for link building that have been working really, really well. It's just going to be a tease though, because if you want the whole thing, man, you got to come to the mastermind, guys. I can't give it all the way here. It wouldn't be fair. So Timothy says, hey guys, I picked up a short domain and looking to build my own shortener. In terms of powering it up with links, what would you recommend? Was considering bulk web 2s, but having second thoughts after last hump day hangout. Looking for the most cost-effective and gradually strengthen the entire domain. So when new short links are made to tier 1 assets, and money site and money site, it is pretty powerful. In that case, Timothy, I don't have a problem with using kind of more bulk type links for like link shorteners, because I guess if you're doing it in-house only and you're not sharing those links or the ability to shorten links with other people, then you can go with just the higher stuff. But I've got some of my own branded link shorteners that I've created for different projects that I use that just naturally, like I use a lot of, for example, for client SEO, a lot of the times I will build links when I'm doing link building for client assets, I will use link shorteners so that, in case they decide they don't want me or need me anymore, I can redirect those shorteners, those shortened URLs to wherever I want to power up my own assets or other, their competitors that hire me instead. You can call it dirty or whatever you want, but I call it job security. So, I don't do that all the time, but I've been doing more of that, meaning if I'm going to be building, like high quality guest posts or link insertions, instead of having it linked directly to the client site, I have it go through a redirect, which is one of my own branded shorteners. And that way, like I said, if something happens that they decide they don't, want my services anymore, then I can redirect that domain, that redirect to one of my own assets or to another client asset or whatever. And so over time that powers up. Another good strategy for that is press releases. I do a shit ton of press releases. And so I like to use kind of redirects and press releases as well. And because over time, again, it powers up that redirect domain so that when you create a new redirect, it instantly has some authority, like some inherent authority, if that makes sense. Although, like I said, I'm not totally opposed to using bulk links to kind of power that kind of stuff up, but just be, because over time it will accrue kind of domain authority. So I guess it just depends. It really depends on where you're using and that sort of thing. I prefer to use higher quality links now than really bulk spam. Web 2 links are still valuable though in certain regards. For like changing anchor text ratios and things like that. Those are great. I like to, Jesper's method with high quality tumblers or high powered tumblers is a great method. There's some providers on Legit. I'm going to share my link provider sheet with you guys here at the end of the webinar from Legit. These are all people that I've vetted. I've found a lot of really good link providers, and there's some Web 2 links providers in there that have like aged Web 2s that are niche relevant. And it's not a lot. You're not getting high volume, but you get pretty good, pretty powerful Web 2 links that are good for like balancing anchor text ratios and stuff like that. It's not my primary link building method, but there are times that they're, I think, useful. So I do still have some of those gigs that I'll use. I just don't do very much of it anymore. I like to focus on higher quality links, if that makes sense. So for a redirect URL, like a domain, like my suggestion is just start using it. It will naturally start to accrue power the more you use it. I've got one that I've been using for my tree care agency that's maybe a year old now, and it's pretty powerful. And it's just because over the last year, it's just accrued a lot of links because of what I just mentioned. So anyway, what do you think about that, Jesper?
Well, I think that if you're going to power up, a domain and and you're going to build out Web 2's enhance, as I guess that Timothy, that's what he's talking about. I have a list of Web 2's that I prefer to use, something like emgur, if you know that image.
Yes.
And Stay Keen, that's new. I just discovered it's a new property by Google, Stay Keen. And expired tumblers, and you can also expired Twitter profile, expired Weebly, expired WordPress. There are actually a lot of expired Web 2's that you can actually use to power up your shortener. So yeah. So just go ahead and a new Twitter profile has a PA of 58. So a brand new Twitter profile has a page authority of 58. And you can actually, every time you make it a rule, that's what I do. Every time I build a link, a citation or article or whatever, blog post, I put a link to my Twitter profile for that client or for that website. And for my agency Twitter profile, it has a page authority of 72, I think. So it's completely crazy.
Wow.
So when I build Twitter moments from my agency profile and from other Twitter profiles, that really moves the needle. And these Twitter moments, they also appear in the serps. So they appear actually on page 1.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been watching your update videos for the Twitter moments course, and it's crazy what you're doing over there, man. So it's awesome. All right, Mikey's up. He says, hey, gents, need your advice for rep management. Have a client was targeted by someone who has made a handful of negative videos on YouTube and Facebook, which appear in the serps for their name. What are some ways I can push or get rid of these from the serps? Contacted Google and Facebook multiple times over a few months to report the content, but no action has been done on their part. Even if I could push them to page, push them to page 10 would be great. Many, many thanks. You got to do brand S. I mean, it's just classic reputation management. So find high authority sites and profiles like what Jesper just mentioned, and build branded profiles for that, the client's company name or their personal name, however they were being attacked. You got to go find high authority properties, build it out, optimize those profiles and or pages, whatever. And then you link build to them, send traffic to them. You can do that with, CT spam tools, click-through spam tools. Viper tools is a great tool for that. You could send Google ads traffic to them. I don't mean search ads, but like display network traffic, stuff like that, which can help to, click-through rate and all that kind of stuff. It definitely helps. So my point is, if you find some of these high authority sites that you can build profiles on and publish pages on, including YouTube, right? Do YouTube videos that are painting your client in a positive light, and then do traditional video SEO. Use Twitter moments. Jesper's done some training recently for his Twitter SEO course. If you guys pick it up, you'll see it, where he's using Twitter moments to rank YouTube videos. It works incredibly well. Twitter moments and YouTube together, like they work really, really well together. So those are ways that, you can rank Twitter moments, YouTube videos, high authority profiles that we was just talking about. High authority tumblers, press releases are really good for that, because press releases, especially for branded terms, typically rank well. If you're using a good press release distribution company like what we use, Press Advantage, are great, especially with the higher, the premium distributions where you get, Yahoo Finance, which everybody can get those, but some of the other ones that are real high authority, the branded search term or branded terms will rank, those press releases will rank really well, and they'll stick, especially if you run a little bit of traffic to them. So again, with either a CT spam tool or like Google Ads traffic. So there's a number of things that you can do. It's just classic reputation management, but it always starts with the quickest way to get results with reputation management is always find high authority properties that you can throw a bunch of stuff at, and they'll take it and just rank. Any comments for that?
Yeah, I'm actually doing that for that at the moment for a client, and there are some properties that actually rank on page 1 without much help. So it's Reddit posts.
Reddit, yeah.
They rank really, really well, really, really fast, within 12 hours, even for brand new Reddit accounts. And there's this website called fyi.to. Do you know that?
Mm-mm.
No, fyi.to. yeah, you can create a profile there, and this also ranks within 24 hours for long tail keywords on page one. It's completely crazy, completely incredible. Yeah, I just discovered that. And in my experience, also blogger sites, you know, the blogspot from Google rank extremely well. But otherwise, I would create actually a company page and vary the text and make it in 3 variants. Put one on Google Cloud, Microsoft Azure, and Amazon S3. That's what I've that's what I've done for my own brands. And Azure and Google Cloud will rank also really well. Company pages.
I found that's interesting you say that, because through my testing, Azure ranks really well.
Yeah, Azure ranks
even quicker than the Google Cloud pages rank, which I was surprised.
Yeah, that's the best. Azure is the best.
Yeah, I just assumed that the Google Cloud pages would rank best, and the Azure pages rank so much faster. And I've just really found that interesting. But that's cool. I just added that to I'm going to add that to my list for sure. So.
And also, what I also found that the Adobe My Portfolio and the Behance profiles also, I think that you need a paid Adobe account, but that also ranks extremely well for company names.
Okay.
So just a tip.
Okay, Christopher is up. He says, I have a service area GMB from my SEO agency in the UK, looking to target some SEO opportunities in the US to diversify a little. How would I be able to secure a US GMB? Find a real business. That's the only thing I can tell you right now. I would have the address hidden, as it would only be service. Lastly, could USA citations be built? Or is this against the terms of service, looking for what the most white hat approach? Thanks, guys. Yeah, Christopher, again, that goes back to it's very difficult right now in the US to get Google business profiles verified unless it's a real valid business, because they're almost in almost every industry that I'm aware of, video verifications have rolled out, which means you can still request a postcard, but then you get the postcard and they require video verification showing, like, within the establishment to verify that it is a true business location. And that's pretty much killed the ability to create listings for lead gen purposes, or for like what you're asking. As we just talked about before, if you have a real client with a real business, then you can still verify, because you can request the verification card to that business address, and when they get it, they can video verify that there's a real valid business there. So it's very difficult right now. Again, I'm sure there are some people that have found some workarounds. I'm not fully aware of them right now, because I'm looking at it as, it's very likely that those days are gone. And so we've got to evolve and figure out other methods. And that's part of the reason why I'm doing so much with Jesper's training and his methods, is because I feel like those are one of the probably best ways to overcome not having the ability to create new GMBs, other than for clients, is what I'm saying. Like, so I'm working on some stuff with, advanced schema and things like that to use cloud pages and cloud stacking and Twitter moments and stuff to be able to rank in organic, sometimes even above the map. It's possible. It is possible to rank an organic listing above the map. It takes a lot of authority. And so that's what I'm trying to work out now. And I don't know that I can do it. I'm still testing, but that's kind of my plan, is to try to get local stuff to rank, particularly videos, above the maps pack if possible, or at least directly below the maps pack. And a lot of that has to do with what, again, Jesper stuff and some advanced schema and link building and things like that. So I don't know what to tell you, buddy. It's in the US, it's going to be much more difficult to do that. I don't really have an answer for you at this point. Any comments on that, guys?
Nope.
Okay. BB's up again. Look at that. You just split them up. So how do you rank locally for lead gen without a physical place? Well, you can do it organically. I mean, that's the whole point. That's what I'm saying. Like, it doesn't have to have a map. Certainly maps listings are the most valuable. In my own tree care or tree service industry, I've done that for 10 years now, generated leads for tree service contractors, and 75 to 80% of all the leads that I've generated have been through maps. That's the honest to God's truth. And I've done Google ads for years. And even when Google ads, the vast majority of leads that I've generated have been because of being ranked in the maps 3-pack. But you can still do stuff organically. They're just volume of leads is less, for sure. Unless, some of the stuff that I'm trying to get to work ends up working, which could potentially be a workaround for not having Google business listings. So I don't know. And I'm considering getting, trying to do some more stuff with ads again. It's very difficult though. Google search ads are so expensive that it's really hard to monetize those on a lead gen basis. If you're managing ads for a client, that's different. But if you're trying to sell leads and stuff, it's really hard. The margins are so slim with generating leads through Google ads that, I mean, even like if you sell the lead multiple times, it's often very difficult to make it profitable because the margins are so slim with the cost of search ads. There's something to be said with YouTube ads for local lead generation using YouTube ads, but it takes an enormous amount of money to dial a campaign in. I was talking about this in one of my groups last year. I attempted to develop a lead generation process using YouTube ads for tree service contractors, and I burned through about $8,000 in 6 weeks. And at that point, when I turned the campaign off, I had just got my campaigns to consistently produce leads, cost per lead, CPL at below $60 per lead. And so I spent $8,000 over 6 weeks just to get my average cost per lead to below $60 per lead. And so it's very difficult. And I was thinking about probably trying that again this year, again, because of the Google business stuff. If I could perfect that and get it to where I can get my cost per leads consistently down to, 40 or $50, then that's monetizable for tree stuff. But it's very difficult to make that profitable, even with like search ads or whatever else, if you can't get your cost per lead down to a certain level. So I don't know. It's tough. We'll find different ways, guys. That's what we do, right? That's what SEOs do. Okay. Number 3, I guess, and we got to wrap up in a few minutes. I'm only going to tease my link building stuff at the end here, guys. Anyway, I guess that Google already knows that all content for local places will be the same. How will they differentiate one another being a better choice to be ranked? Entity, strengthening the, schema, entity, the strength of the entity, on-page optimization, backlink profile, relevance, all of that. It's not about just the content. There's a lot more that goes into it. It's about building your knowledge graph, right? Taking over that, helping Google to build a knowledge graph for the entity, the brand, right? And that's what we talk about a lot, guys. That's, syndication networks, although we're not doing much syndication now because of, the changes to IFTTT. It's about ever expanding that entity footprint, interlinking profiles, right? You're adding nodes to the knowledge graph that Google has for that entity, that brand. Does that make sense? That's why it's powerful, and it takes time, but you keep building that out. That's why, Syndication Academy, even though we're not doing so much syndication, it's still a very valuable part of what we do, because in Essie, she's amazing in our group. Guys, it's inexpensive. If you haven't joined, go join. It's very inexpensive, but every 2 weeks, she just did one today. Every single 2 weeks, she does a webinar where she talks about new profiles that can be added to the entity footprint, essentially building out the profiles, how to optimize them, how to interlink them to where it's referencing other nodes within the knowledge graph, right? Other branded profiles. And it's really important. You can create like geometric growth out of the knowledge graph and kind of engineer it if you do it properly. And that's why I think it's really important. That's, we're in the semantic web. Take advantage of it, use it. That's how you do it. So any comments on that, Jesper?
Well, when it comes to the local city service pages, I almost always link out to other authority sites. Mm-hmm. And I don't mind linking out because it shows Google that you're relevant. It shows that you're relevant to the other, but what they have is relevant to your website. So I don't mind, and that's working for me. And as I told in the beginning, I also take content from Wikipedia related to that city and insert it with a link to the Wikipedia article, also to increase the relevance. And then I have these, I call them umbrella properties, like FYI.to and Pearl Trees and Raindrop and Google Sites. And YouTube is also an umbrella property where I collect all the most important citations that I have and then link them and put them on these umbrella properties. And that also strengthens the entity.
Yeah.
So that's something that I also do.
Yeah, and that's like interlinking all those different profiles, and you force Google to understand the association between those profiles. And again, it's if you ever looked at, you know, connected data items, diagrams, you'll see like it's like a big cloud. It's a 3-dimensional cloud of all these nodes that are all interlinked, and you can engineer that. And that's how you do it. That's how you again, this is semantic web. So, you know, it's incredibly important. And that's what we do, you know, for all my clients. You know, we're constantly building new profiles, and over time. And I was just talking to one of my link building clients about how where I'm seeing the most kind of like everything kind of blossom, or, you know, like everything kind of take hold is right around month 5. If I start on a brand new project and we just methodically build and build and build, right around month 5 is where we just see like, boom, we just take over a set of keywords and GMB and that sort of thing. And like the map, a 13 by 13 map will be a sea of green, if you know what I'm talking about, with like the local search grids and everything else. It's usually right around month 5. And I don't know why that is, but I guess maybe it's the way that we're building. It just at some point it reaches a tipping point, and then boom, it just flourishes. And then it sticks, like they just stay, they're almost unmovable. And it's really, really powerful. And again, that's part of like what I talk about with the semantic web, and, you know, what we're talking about with Jesper and all that. A lot of what we're talking about is how to, you know, do this very quickly, get immediate rankings or quick rankings and that sort of thing. But I think over time, if you kind of implement what we're talking about for the semantic web, that's how you rank and stay ranked, if that makes sense. So we only got about 4 more minutes, so I got to tease. I see a couple of other questions. Jim, real quick, he says, hey, SM team, in recent webinars, you talked about the decreased power of garbage links. Have you seen the same with contextual links and embeds? Well, contextual links are just the type, like where the link is placed within content. So I'm using contextual links, but I'm doing it in well optimized content that's relevant, that's on a relevant source. So in other words, the source of the link is relevant to the source, that topically relevant to the source that I'm linking to, my target. That's incredibly important. It's still a contextual link. And embeds, again, if you can get embeds in contextual content, then it does help to move the needle, especially with maps. I'm doing a lot of embed stuff with these cloud pages. I'm doing a lot of embed stuff with G Sheets and Google Sheets and ID pages, that kind of stuff. All that still works. Press releases are still an integral part of my process, Jim. So yeah, I mean, like I'm talking about like bulk spam links. I'm just not seeing the benefit of them anymore. That's just, again, through my own testing. Some really good follow-ups here, guys. I'm just going to tease a couple of things real quick. So take a screenshot. I'm going to share a link in a moment to my link providers and legit, but here's kind of what I've developed for my own link building process for local link building. That's all I work on is local stuff. And, you know, I always call tier 0 assets, the Google Business website, the money site, and the Google Business map. And then I've developed kind of just a very easy three-pronged approach. I do three-tier link building in tiers. Like it's always in 3-tier stages, right? Do the links at tier 1, which are brand/URL anchors, real heavy on that. My favorite are cloud pages for that, branded assets and cloud pages. And then tier 2, I like to do target anchors, which are, you know, keyword plus location modifier. That includes city names and or near me type of terms. So that, and then at tier 3, I like to use topic anchors, which those are like keywords without location modifiers. And I like to do them in stages like that. So and again, it's a real clean link profile, right? Brand URL anchors. I like to use cloud pages as my favorite tier 1 link now. Branded assets and cloud pages. Then, like I said, those are brand/URL anchors linking directly to the tier 0 assets. And those are also embeds. We just talked about embeds. That's very, very powerful. Then at tier 2, I like to use target anchors to power up my tier 1 assets from niche relevant sources. And then at tier 3, topic anchors. You can use bulk links there. I don't recommend bulk spam, but you can use kind of less topically relevant stuff there. And it's about pushing power at that point. So again, take a screenshot of that. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drop this, guys, very quickly. We got about 2 minutes left. I'm just going to preview this real quick. I've been doing a lot of stuff with Legit, the providers over at Legit. I'll drop this on the page here in just a minute, guys, and then we'll wrap it up. These are all the link providers that I use and where I use them. They're all categorized by where I use them, okay, the different sheets. So these are my maps gigs that I love. I use the shit out of every one of these guys. I've vetted all of these providers. They're all good providers. So I don't have time to go through all this. You guys want to learn my methods and go in a deep dive about all this stuff, come join the mastermind. Seriously, it's inexpensive. Join on the quarterly level. Come join for 3 months, get all the information you need, and then quit if you want. But my guess is you won't quit. But so here's maps, here's niche one. If you're going to link directly to the money site from these types of providers, these are suitable for that. I still, like I said, I prefer cloud pages over this, but these are suitable for directly linking to the money site. Niche two, these are topically relevant niche two links. Again, topical relevance is what is working, hands down. So this is the best kind of type of link at tier two because they're topically relevant. Then I've got general tier one link providers. These again are suitable to link directly to the money site. These aren't necessarily topically like topical or niche related stuff, but they're stuff for pushing power, cloud stacker gigs, cloud gigs, right? Google entity stacks, that kind of stuff. General tier two, can be for powering up other tier two assets and things like that. These are kind of less relevant stuff, but still good for pushing power. And then lastly, tier three in bulk. This is for like tier four and tier three and tier four stuff, or powering up citations, things like that aren't necessarily as important to have the topical relevance as it is about just pushing power. So I'm going to drop this link in the chat box, guys, or underneath the webinar. I would encourage you guys to go check them out. Again, these are all providers that I use regularly for my link building, for my agency clients, and now for my link building members in the mastermind. And they work really, really well. So you just got to know how to do them, when to do them, and what sequence, and that sort of thing. And that's what we talk about in the mastermind. So Jesper, thank you for guest hosting. You're muted.
Thank you. It's been fun.
It's good. And I guess we'll see everybody else next week. Mastermind webinar tomorrow. For those of you in the mastermind, if you're not, come join us. And again, Jesper, thanks for your time. I'll follow up with you later, buddy. Thanks, everyone.